Hi, my name's Christine Hyam. I am the manager of the puppy development department at the Seeing Eye. And this department is the group that works with the puppy raising families that take puppies into their homes for the first year and do lots of basic things with them to help prepare them to become Seeing Eye dogs later on. We have a group of area coordinators. There are 6 of them that work with our puppy raising families. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the program so that you can become aware of the program. So let me just share my screen. If there are any questions along the way, if you just mouse over, bring your mouse down to the lower part of your screen, you'll see in the center there that it says Q&A. That is where you can put in questions if you have any along the way, and we'll try to answer them as we go. But we'll definitely get them all at the end. Okay, I am going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm really happy that so many of you have joined us to learn a little bit more about the Seeing Eye Puppy Raising Program. So why did you register for this session? Maybe you saw some cute photos on a social media post, or maybe you were just looking around on the internet and saw the website and you just love dogs. Maybe you had dogs in the past, and I know this sometimes happens, and people say that, I love dogs, I've had dogs, but I can't commit to a dog long term, so this might be a good program for me. Maybe you never had a dog and you think that this might be a good opportunity just to learn more about dogs and almost like give it a trial run of having a dog. Community service. Obviously, this is a great program where your involvement is then going to be helping someone else. And it's also something that's great for a family project. Everyone can be involved in this because really having a puppy in your home, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody needs to help out. So it's a great way for the family to really bond together. And maybe it's a combination of all the things that I just mentioned. So you'll see below this in the photo, we have some puppies lined up there. This is actually a photo taken from an event that we had at Six Flags Great Adventure. And we invited any puppy raiser that wanted to come and bring their puppies. It was a great exposure outing for the puppies because they were just getting used to being in crowds, maybe different types of surfaces, seeing the movement of different rides and the motion, and just lots of the sounds that are going on as well. So it was a great outing for a lot of puppies and puppy raisers. Okay, a little bit about the history of the program. So the Seeing Eye was established in 1929, and we're actually celebrating our 95th anniversary this year. And we are the original guide dog school in the United States. It started, like I said, back in 1929 when it was actually incorporated. But it was a woman named Dorothy Harrison Hustis who lived in Philadelphia, and she was a dog breeder of German Shepherds. And she moved to Switzerland, and she saw how these dogs were helping blinded soldiers during the war and how they were helping to guide them and helping them to become more independent. And she said, I really want to do something about this. I want to start a school that can help people in the United States. So she had written an article in the Saturday Evening Post, and a man named Morris Frank, who was about 19 at the time, had read the article, and he became very interested in this. He was a very determined man, and he really did not like depending on other people. Sometimes he would have to have someone lead him around for his job. He was an insurance salesman, so he needed help, having someone guide him. And they weren't always dependable, and he didn't like that. He didn't want to have to depend on anyone. So he wrote to Dorothy Harrison Hustis, and she accepted him into her program. And so Morris Frank was the first person to get a Seeing Eye dog. And one of the things that was said about him is that he came in there with shoulders slumped, but after he had his guide dog, Buddy, he came out there confident and proud, and his shoulders were back as he would walk through the streets of Vienna. So that then brought us to where we needed a puppy raising program. They had, some people involved in families with taking these dogs into their homes, but we really needed to start something that we could really depend on families so that we could really be able to provide dogs to a larger group of people. So in 1942, the Seeing Eye joined with 4-H because we had lots of families. And then they would join in and take these puppies into their home and keep them there and, give them their basics, teaching them basic obedience, teaching them good manners. And then they would go back to the Seeing Eye and then learn their formal training where they would learn how to do their job to guide a blind individual. Now, no, not all of our clubs now are part of 4-H, and that's great. 4-H is just a nice added program for any youth members. Now we have puppy raisers that live throughout New Jersey. We have in Pennsylvania, sections of Delaware, Maryland, and New York. We do not have clubs in every county of New Jersey and also in some of these other areas that are mentioned. But even if the club, so just for example, so we have a club that's in Burlington County, but it's a combination of Burlington and Camden counties because we don't have a club that's in Camden County, but then those families that live in Camden County can either join the clubs that are a little bit closer, whether it would be Burlington County, Gloucester County, or maybe if it's in Philly. It just depends on how it works with their schedule, depending on the night the club meets, maybe the day. But like I said, so these are all the areas that we have puppy raisers living currently that have puppies in their home. So what is a puppy raiser? They're volunteer families or individuals that are taking cute puppies into their home, and they're taking on the responsibility of the 24-hour care of a puppy. And they also agree to follow our guidelines for raising the puppies, training the puppies. And we just listed some things here that the puppy would be allowed to live in a loving home until it returns for formal training. And it's about a year that the puppy is in your home. They're usually placed in the home around 7 weeks of age, and then they'll return back to the Seeing Eye when they are about 13 to 16 months of age. You're doing all the daily care for them. So you're housebreaking them, grooming them, feeding them, giving them any other medications that they may need, taking them to the vet. We also, as I mentioned with the clubs, we have puppy club meetings and outings. And typically at puppy club meetings, we have our training session time, so they're practicing their obedience, but also time where they're discussing any upcoming events that they may have and just sharing tips with each other. We're providing obedience training according to the Seeing Eye guidelines. So we're just doing basic obedience with them. So if you've had dogs before, you maybe have taught your dog to heel or sit or down, stay. We use very similar commands. We just use forward instead of heel because we want our dogs to have a nice steady pull when they're walking with you, because they have to build that confidence to be out in front and to guide later on when they're in training. And we use sit and down. We use rest instead of stay, just a different term, but means the same thing. The puppy should stay in that place until they're released. And then we just some other good housekeeping type things, stay back because we don't want them rushing through the door or maybe getting into the refrigerator. Stay back is just a way to tell them, okay, please stay out of this area. But we're just doing the basics with them, helping them to be good furry citizens in the home and out in public. And that leads us to our community exposures, that we're going on shopping trips where we're going into different stores. Maybe we're taking them to doctor's appointments with us. Maybe we're taking them to work or sporting events, going to the bank. We do have to ask permission before we bring our puppies into places, public places, because they are puppies in training. Most places are very welcoming, but we just like to make sure that, we have that okay before we just go in. But lots of fun when you're raising a puppy. Can be challenging at times, but for the most part, it's a lot of fun. Now, the support that the Seeing Eye provides to you. I mentioned the puppy club meetings. There's lots of other puppy raisers in the club. And the clubs have monthly meetings. Some meet once a month, some are twice a month. We do have a club that meets every week. And they typically do at least one outing a month where the club goes together, to whether it's to a store, the mall, but they try to organize things where puppies will learn lots of different things on the outing. But those raisers in the club, we have raisers that have been raising for quite some time. Many puppies, we call them veteran raisers. We've had families that have raised upwards of 50 puppies in the club. And then we have, the people that have maybe raised one or two. We have many new families that are raising two. So it's really a nice place to be able to work together for the common purpose of having well-behaved puppies and helping them to be good citizens to later on become Seeing Eye dogs. Each club has club leaders and puppy educators. The club leaders, they organize the club and the different things the agendas for the club, some of the outings. We also ask, some of the puppy club members to help out with organizing some things as well. Topics that they might discuss at the meeting can be organized by the leaders or the puppy educators, depending on, whether it's information that's coming from the Seeing Eye or if they're training ideas and tips. So we have puppy educators that are helping during the training sessions at the meetings, where we're just practicing the basic obedience. And the puppy educators are there to assist the raisers. If they're having any, concerns with maybe a puppy pulling too hard, or maybe a puppy that's having difficulty doing a down, they're going to help to give them some tips along the way. So you have lots of support within your club, not just your club leaders and your puppy educators, but the other veteran raisers too help out. We also have puppy club sitters there to assist. So if you're going on vacation, sometimes puppy raisers take their puppies with them on vacation. And again, all of that has to be approved, where the Seeing Eye needs to know where you're going and also how you're getting there. We do not allow our puppies to fly, but if you are driving somewhere, and as long as you have everything set up, that you have all the approvals with the different places where you're staying or visiting, the puppy would be okay to go, as long as it's approved by the area coordinator. But if you can't take the puppy with you, we have puppy sitters, and that's one of the options, being a puppy raiser or a puppy sitter, so that they can help out. Even if it's just for a day, a puppy sitter can help out with taking the puppy into their home, while the raiser, is busy doing something else. Maybe it's for a weekend, maybe it's for a week or two. Sometimes if it's a little bit longer, we might split that between, two puppy sitters. But it gives lots of opportunities for the puppy to be handled by different people, and also a fun time for the puppy sitters as well. You also have area coordinators. I mentioned earlier on that we have 6 currently that are in different areas. We have some in we have 2 in North Jersey. We have one that's in Central and South Jersey. We have some that cover Pennsylvania, actually there's 3 of them that cover Pennsylvania, also Delaware and parts of Maryland too. So they're kind of like a liaison between the Seeing Eye and the puppy clubs. So they're overseeing the puppy clubs and also the puppy raisers. They are also there to support you. So if you're having any difficulties, any concerns, or just any questions, the area coordinators will quickly respond and are happy to help you. Now, the Seeing Eye also helps to cover all the medical expenses. So when you get a puppy, you will have a vaccination card that will have all the vaccinations that the puppy needs when you have them. So you can talk to other puppy club members to find out where they take their puppies for vet visits, because usually you'll just use a vet in your area. You know, maybe you've had dogs before, you currently have pets at home. You can use that same veterinarian. You'll just want to find out if they would be willing to bill the Seeing Eye directly, because the Seeing Eye covers all the veterinary expenses. And if there's any questions that the vets may have along the way, they can certainly contact the Seeing Eye vets that are on staff with any questions. The Seeing Eye also provides the monthly preventative, so your flea and tick medication and your heartworm preventative as well, the entire time that you have the puppy. Now we have certain foods that we feed our pups, and we do give a quarterly stipend just to help offset the cost of that food. It's just a little help for you. Another support that you have is that we have a puppy raiser manual that is available to you online. So once you've been approved to be a puppy raiser or puppy sitter, you will have access to this puppy raiser manual. If you kind of look on the side here, we have "You're welcome to the Seeing Eye Puppy Raising Program." Just tells you get a little bit of background about the program, but also just some of the ins and outs of raising a puppy, some of the policies we have, the training that we do with them, the basic obedience, your basic grooming for the puppies, health care, and then just other things about the clubs and just miscellaneous things that would be like holiday reminders, you know, or things that might be out in nature that would be dangerous for your puppy that you want to avoid. So there's lots of information in this manual that you can access, you know, after you've been approved to be a puppy raiser or a puppy sitter. And like I said, even if you have questions, if you've looked in the manual, you can always ask your area coordinator, you can ask your leaders or puppy educators as well. And I guess I should mention here too, just that we do have an application process, and that is, I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So some of the club outings that we do, it's a really fun time, as I said, as a group. A lot of times you're going to be on your own doing things, but the club does try to also organize outings that are really going to hit a lot of marks of areas where the puppies need experiences. They're really real life experiences. We want the pups to become well adjusted. They need to be, you know, very adjustable to situations, whether it be the flooring of things, patterns on floors, shiny floors, different types of stairs, open back stairs, also different types of transportation, riding in the car. And we actually have our puppies lying on the floor when they're riding in the car. That also, because we're teaching our puppies down and rest, that will also be incorporated when they're traveling in different types of transportation, buses, like I mentioned, cars, trains, boats. You can see the pups here in the picture on the left. That is actually a boat tour of a Manasquan reservoir. And you can see our pups are nicely lying on the floor. And again, that's practice for down and rest. And that's the same place they would be if they're wherever they're traveling, you know, on a bus, train, or car. And I also mentioned here elevators, because that's another mode of transportation. And again, it's a slow process. You may not think too much of it when you go into an elevator, but for a little puppy, the doors opening, the doors closing, going across, even if it's a tiny gap, they still might notice that. But also then the movement of the elevator might be startling for some. So we have to take a nice slow process when we're introducing them to these different things. And some other things like bowling, again, you might wonder, well, would a person who's blind really go bowling? They might. You know how they have they might use some of those helpful little, the ramps for the bowling balls, but they still can go out and have fun with others. So we really want to make sure that the pups are getting that experience, but also the sounds, the motion of the balls. And you can see the floors, they're a little bit shiny, the different textures that are on the floor. Again, the dogs need to be okay with that. Mini golf, Yes, another fun game for the puppy raisers, but also practicing lots of different things. Again, surfaces. And you can see the little golden puppy in the bottom there that's watching the ball as it's rolling, but it's staying in its sit position. And that's perfectly exactly what we want them to do. And walking through malls, and you can see in the mall picture on the upper right that there's that glass railing. That could be really frightening for a lot of dogs to see that glass railing and a drop off. So again, lots of practice in different places to help our puppies learn. And then we have a club that went into New York City, and they're all posing outside the Hard Rock Cafe because they had lunch there. They had permission to go in. The dogs went in. They lied quietly under the tables. And most patrons at the restaurant didn't even know they were there. And that's probably the best compliment we can ever get when we're out in public places, is that someone could say, when the dogs are walking out, they could say, I never even knew the dogs were even here. So that's, what I can say is just, that's what we're always going for. They're really, we try to think of them as almost being invisible. I know it's hard for others to think that, but for us, we have to remember that they're working when they're wearing their vests or they're out in public places. Their job is to be on their best behavior. So reasons to become a puppy raiser: you have your supportive community, you're meeting lots of new people, it's a community service, and of course the puppies would probably be the highlight. Yes, it can be a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Like I said, we've had families in these clubs for years. My family has been involved in puppy raising for over 50 years. And we've really enjoyed the friendships we've made. But a lot of them these are families in our clubs become part of our family. It's really like a second family that you have, which is really nice. And many of them get together, they say, oh, well, let's go take a walk, maybe down on the boardwalk, or hey, let's do a shopping trip. And they bring the puppies along. And also the bigger picture is that you're helping to provide a guide dog to enhance the independence, dignity, and self-confidence of people who are blind. I just wanted to show you this one short video. The club that had gone to New York City, they are walking near Bryant Park, and the puppies are really getting lots of experiences, but I want you to take special notice. There's going to be lots of people walking past these puppies, but take a look at the puppies and just see what their behavior is like. You can see lots of happy tails, which is great. That's what we want to see for our dogs. But you can see that these pups are walking nicely past these individuals. They're not trying to pull towards them. There's buses and cars going by. There's different sounds. There's also the grates on the left side that you can see there. Some dogs might see that and be fearful of that, but you can see these puppies are marching down in a line very confidently and doing a great job. And you can see those pups are also wearing either a vest or a bandana, what we call a collar scarf, to identify them as seeing eye puppies. And as the puppy raisers, they also have in their cleanup kits, they would have a card that also identifies them as a puppy raiser for the seeing eye. So you listened to me about the puppy raising program. Are you still in and you still excited? You really want to get involved in here? Okay, so how do you prepare for it? You want to ask yourself some questions. Can I commit to the needs of a young puppy? Remember, having a young puppy that's 7 weeks old, if you've had a dog before, or maybe you've never had a dog before, never had a dog, puppies are a lot of work. And you need to rearrange kind of your schedule, because now you're inviting this little puppy into your home. So you kind of have to work with their schedule, get them on your schedule, but you need to also work with theirs too. So you're housebreaking the puppy. So in the beginning, you might be getting up in the middle of the night to take this puppy outside. You also might be cleaning up accidents if you haven't gotten the puppy out in enough time. You're also looking at a puppy that will be nipping and chewing. If you don't have any other dogs at home, which can be helpful because they can be their playmates, but if you don't have any other dogs at home, you're going to have this puppy that thinks of you as being a playmate. So they need to learn to respect you. And again, your club is there to help you. Your area coordinator is there to help you along the way for these little bit puppy behaviors. They do grow out of it, but in the beginning, I'm not going to lie, it can be a little hard at first, but they do get over it with your consistency, your training, and patience. If you work outside the home, will you be able to get home at scheduled times? Because our puppies are on 3 meals a day. Remember, you're also housebreaking the puppy. So, you really can't leave a really young puppy probably for more than 2 hours because you want them to be successful with housebreaking. So you want to make sure that you're getting them outside and exercised. Then if you have to leave them for the 2 to 3 hours, hopefully then you'll come home, they're in a crate, and that there are no accidents in there, and then you can quickly get them outside. If you don't have a very flexible schedule, do you have somebody that you trust that you would be able to help you feed the puppy or exercise the puppy and get them out during the day? Or would you be able to bring the puppy to work? That would be a question you would need to talk over, with your manager, administration, and your area coordinator. You can talk with them as well. But that sometimes is an option. We do have some families that they've brought their dogs to work with them. Some of them work in schools, some in office buildings. So that may also be an option. So that would be something you might want to talk to your employer first before, if you don't have any other options as far as having someone help you out during the day. Is your home puppy proofed? As I mentioned before, puppies will be nippy and chewy. And the way that puppies explore their world is through using their mouth. So they will find wires, anything that's dropped on the floor. We kind of think of it as being like child proofing. So you want to get down to the level of the puppy and kind of look around to see what could they possibly get into. Even those books or plants that might be on the floor or in a bookcase, but if it can be reached by a puppy, don't ever think that they won't get into it because they will, just when you least expect it. So you really want to make sure that that house is puppy proof to help protect the puppy, to keep them safe. Do you have the necessary equipment for a puppy? We do provide a collar and leash to get you started. You will need bowls for food and water. You will need a crate that the puppy can grow into. Oftentimes crates now, when you buy a bigger crate, they do have dividers so that you can expand the crate size. And again, you can talk to the area coordinators, you can talk to the leaders and puppy educators, and they can give you some helpful tips on getting those things. And lots of puppy toys and safe toys. Again, we do have some of those listed in our manual, but also talking with other puppy raisers in the club, your area coordinator, your club leaders, and puppy educators can help you select some of those things, and just any other things that you might need for your puppy. Brushes for grooming. We do have a list of some things that we do provide as well that you can take a look at that you'll need to get. And if you have other family members in your home or family members that might be helping you, are they going to be willing to follow the puppy raising guidelines, meaning the training? We don't want our puppies to bark, so we teach them quiet. We don't allow puppies on furniture. We don't want them begging. We don't give any people food to our puppies. So you have to make sure that everybody in your household can follow some rules. If you have pets at home, are they friendly? Again, little puppies, they're all going to have different personalities. Some might be a little bit more assertive and wanting to try to get your other dog to play. And maybe your dog is not so ready for that for a little puppy. Another puppy might be a little bit shyer and maybe just, a little more easygoing, and that they would be very respectful of the other dog that you have at home. So you just want to make sure your dog at home will be okay with having another pup in the house. And with your schedule, will it allow you to be involved in the puppy club meetings and outings? Like I said, the puppy club meetings, that's where you're really going to learn how to do your puppy raising and helpful tips along the way so that you can be successful and make it a really good experience. And for our puppy sitters, we also, sometimes we realize that you can't always make every event. That's where puppy sitters can also be helpful because they can make arrangements with a puppy raiser to take the dog on an outing, if the raiser can't go, but the sitter can take the pup. So we really try to work together to make sure our pups get lots of different experiences. So I want to thank you for coming tonight. If you think you're really interested and you really want to learn more about a club that's near you, we do have a form that's at the bottom of this page where it's the cei.org/raise. That will help our volunteers that will call you to have a little bit more information about you. Or if you would like to just email your name and phone number to puppyraisers@seeingeye.org, you can do that too. And we'll have a volunteer contact you. And just if you have any questions, or they can talk a little bit more about the program, maybe things we didn't touch on, or if there's questions, like I said, about, things that that came up that that you're not so sure if it will work, for the program. But they will then also be able to let you know what club is near you so that you can attend a puppy club meeting. So that would be your next step, is to send your name and phone number or fill out the bottom form on the raiser page. And then after that, you would attend a puppy club meeting. You can meet some of the puppy raisers, meet all the puppies, maybe handle some of the puppies as well. That's where you would get an application. You would get it from the club leader. And then you would complete the application, and then the leaders would sign off on it. It gets mailed into the Seeing Eye. You do need to have 2 non-relative references on there. We will be contacting them. And then once the application is approved, then you'll be notified, and then you can really get started with puppy sitting. And then, if you're going to be a puppy sitter, then you'll continue at that stage. If you're going to become a raiser, then you would just really stay in contact with your area coordinator, and they can kind of let you know, what puppies are coming along the way. So I'm just going to stop sharing now.
Christine, we have some questions.
Okay, let's see. There are, all right, there we go. Let's see. So we had some questions. How do the responsibilities differ for puppy sitters? Will I need equipment, attend outings and meetings, know the guidelines? In the stages are the same, whether you're going to be a puppy raiser or a puppy sitter, it's all the same. Application part, also go attending meetings. In the beginning, we really would like you to do at least 6 months of attending meetings, because this is really where you're learning how to raise a puppy, how to handle lots of different puppies, because they're all not going to be the same. They're all going to be at different training stages. But it's also getting to know the families, and the families getting to know you. You are also getting to know the puppies. So after the 6 months of the regular attendance, we usually can say with the puppy sitters, you can come maybe once a month. If it's a club that meets twice a month, or every other month, you just really want to stay connected to the club, because like I said, it's really important that the families get to know you and you get to know the puppies and the families. The equipment, the families would provide everything that you would need. So if you needed a crate for the puppy, the toys, they would provide all the food that the puppy would need while you have them. They should also be writing up A little list of things that maybe the puppy is working on, the puppy's schedule, when it empties, when it gets up, um, just the typical things that they do. Maybe they play with it, after they feed the dog for after a few minutes after eating. Well, probably a little longer than that, at least a half hour. But how they play with the dog. Because we want to have lots of consistency, and that's where the connection with the families is really important, so that you can have that consistency with the puppy. So it just makes it easier for the puppy as well, and you too. And you'll also have access to the puppy raiser manual that's online. And even if you don't have a puppy, you can attend the outings. And that's always fun, because sometimes you need an extra hand at outings. Whether the person just needs to go take care of something, they can hand off the puppy to you and know, the puppy's in good hands. Okay, and what is the waiting period for getting a puppy after being approved? It can vary. I did not mention this, but we do have different breeds. We have German Shepherds, we have Labrador Retrievers, we have Golden Retrievers, and we have a cross between Labs and Goldens. We use males and females. We do not spay or neuter our dogs until they return back to the CI, because we do have our own breeding program. So just in case they are selected for that. But they will be then altered after, we made the decision that they will not be used in that program, and they would go into training. So it depends, if there's a specific breed, which we do have in our application. If you have a specific breed that you would like, it's really better to probably put anything, unless, I know some people would prefer not to have a German Shepherd, and that's perfectly fine. We have the other options. And if you preferred a male or a female, we do have litters arriving throughout the year. So it really could be anywhere from 2 to 6 months, by the time you would get a puppy. Do you need to have an enclosed yard? You do not have to have a fenced yard. We have many raisers that do not. We have families that live in cities. We have families that live on farms. We have families living in suburbs. So they all have different types of homes. We have families that live in ranches so there's may not be any stairs. So we want to make sure those families will, get their puppy out and in different types of stairs. And like with the fence, we have families that don't have fences. It just means your puppy always needs to be on leash when it is outside, because we want to make sure that they are safe. I think I answered. There was a question about, do you have a say in the breed that you'd like to raise? I mentioned that already. There's a question of living in Florida. Unfortunately, you would not be eligible for the Seeing Eye puppy raising program, but there are similar programs that are different schools, but there are similar programs in your area. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I think we hit them all. Okay. Well, I think that's it for now. I hope you learned something new about our program. I hope that you're excited about maybe raising for us or puppy sitting. Again, if you would like to know more information about a club that's near you, you can email to puppyraisers@seeingeye.org. You want to send your name and a phone number, or you can go back to the Seeing Eye website to seeingeye.org/raise. And there is a form at the bottom of the page that you can fill out. In either case, a knowledgeable volunteer will contact you. And, if there's any other questions that you might have, you can ask them and they can answer them. And then they can give you information about a club that's near you. Thanks so much for coming tonight. And hopefully we'll see you at a puppy club meeting. Have a good night, everyone.